Okay, welcome everybody. This is Lance Luke and Martin Pea, part of the Ask the Building Expert webinar series. And we have a nice topic today on condo remodeling. And by the way, thank you for joining our Zoom platform. And we're restreaming to Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So those of you who are on those platforms, welcome. Thanks for joining us. We're doing this live, but um, we're also going to have the recording available on our website, and I'll give you the website information at the end. So our topic today is very interesting, especially in Hawaii. And thank you for those of you who are attending who are not from Hawaii. Maybe you live in condos anywhere in the United States or even some parts of the world. This may also be applicable to you because there's condos all over the place. My wife and I, we were in Europe maybe a couple of weeks ago. And I realized that there's actually condos in different parts of the world that we actually visited, London, UK, Portugal, Spain. I'm not sure about Morocco, but anyway, yeah. So the information is applicable to any condo, depends on the rules of the condominium. And believe it or not, there's so many condos in Hawaii. My friend who's a condo attorney told me that condo owners, if they all got together, the number of condo owners would actually be the second largest island in Hawaii. So uh, that's a pretty interesting statistic. So uh, without any more delay, Condo Remodeling Simplified from design to execution. I'm going to give you some tips on how to do these things. National Building Expert, Ask the Building Expert series. And why do we even present these kind of webinars? Well, it's presented by Construction Management Inspection, which is a Hawaii-based construction management and building inspection services. And we do this to actually help building owners, property managers, realtors, developers, real estate attorneys, anybody who has anything to do with a condo or a building. So if you're a condo owner, a realtor, rental agent that deals with condos, property management companies, you could benefit from some of the information. You may be on one side or you may be on the other side as a condo board or board member or a property management company managing a condo association. So let's get right into it. So you own a condo or you manage a condo, and it's getting kind of old. There's things that are not really to your liking. It's outdated. Some of the design elements or flooring, for instance, like you have carpet and it's old already, and the new thing now is laminate vinyl tile, LVT. You want to upgrade, make it look more modern looking. So do you just go in and change it, or are there design guidelines that you have to follow? So let's talk about some condo design guidelines. What do you need to be aware of? Some of the things that you need to be aware of, like for one, is you can't just go and just do whatever you want, right? Although you own the condo unit, you don't own the whole building. And believe it or not, you don't own necessarily the walls or the floor or the ceiling, uh, because that's considered part of the building and a common area. So these are the kind of things to look at or to be aware of. Even if your condo building does not require these things, it's, specific guidelines. It's good to know what they are to be aware. Structural components, you don't go and knock down walls or drill holes in a wall or ceiling or floor without getting approval. Because what happens if you drill a hole in the floor and you start drilling through rebar or post tension cables and create a structural issue, a safety issue? Okay, so be aware of these things. Also, if the wall or ceiling or maybe the flooring has hazardous material, that's something to be aware of too. If your condo building was built before 1977, 78, there's a chance that the walls and ceilings may have asbestos containing material and even some of the flooring. So, for example, a building that's built in the 60s has this 9 by 9 floor tile, with these colored dots and all that. That may be asbestos containing floor tile. And then the stick-on stuff, which is mastic, it's normally black, and they use that to stick the tile onto the floor. That mastic may be asbestos containing material also. Your popcorn ceiling may have asbestos in it. Your walls may have asbestos in um, the the tape joints where your tape is, or some of the mud, the drywall, uh, that powder that they mix together and plaster to finish the drywall. That may be asbestos containing material also. So be aware. I've even had projects I worked on that when we tested it, there was asbestos in the window caulking, right? Or some of the stucco exterior wall. And when you're working on a high-rise building, how are you going to mitigate that if it's on the exterior wall? So that becomes an issue. Now, the second common thing to be aware of is the flooring. You're going to change your flooring, like I mentioned. Yeah, you don't like the old shag carpet. You want to upgrade it to something more modern looking because you went to a home show, or you visited a friend and they had nice looking laminate flooring, maybe bamboo or koa look or something like that, and you're interested in that. So you want to redo your house. Now, be aware that there's sound mitigation guidelines, and you need to ask your condo board what the guidelines are so you can be prepared and make sure that when you do your flooring, you put in the right insulation and the floor covering, and the whole flooring system meets the sound guidelines of your condo building. Now, for a high-rise building that's made out of reinforced concrete, it's fairly easy to meet the guidelines because you could have a 4-inch or 6-inch concrete slab, and your flooring underlayment and your floor covering, they have sound ratings because they've been tested in a laboratory, and the manufacturers provide the sound rating to you, such as uh, IIC, Impact Insulation Class, or STC, Sound Transmission Class. And you read the manufacturer's specifications, and it says 65 IIC or STC. Okay, and if your condo guidelines say you need to meet a 60, then you're okay. Okay, so for the most part, high-rise reinforced concrete condos, it's not that hard to maintain the sound rating. Now, be careful because you got to make sure your contractor actually follows the guidelines. Because if they skip a step, let's say, oh, yeah, this kind of laminate tile, it comes with like a backing on it already. There's like a foam backing for sound insulation, so you don't need a separate underlayment. Okay, and if he just attaches that product directly to the floor without the underlayment, does it still meet the sound guidelines? Okay, so that's just a heads up. Now, I can tell you this, based on experience and years of trying to do my research on sound rating for wood frame construction. So all the townhouses around that are constructed of wood, they're not reinforced concrete. They're a wood structure. So you have wood flooring, you have wood framing, and you have a plywood flooring. Okay, even if you have a sound barrier or some kind of gypsum uh, soundboard on top of the wood flooring, it's almost impossible to figure out what the sound rating is. Okay, initially, developers put in carpet and vinyl tile. Okay, and lately we've seen a lot of condo unit owners replacing their carpet with wood flooring, laminate flooring, ceramic tile, hard tile, marble, things like that. And it does not meet the sound rating. Well, how do you know it doesn't meet the sound rating? Because the unit owner below complains. Now, we don't know what the sound rating actually is because I have not seen any floor product that was tested in a laboratory that was tested with an application over a wood frame floor. It's always reinforced concrete. Now, to make it worse, you may have like um, no drop ceiling, so there's like no space, and you could have walls that have no insulation. So it could be a major problem. And I've seen problems, and I'm still working on some problems. There's even lawsuits based on that, where the unit owner down below ends up suing the unit owner above. In fact, I was involved in one case as an expert witness where the unit owner down below sued the owner above and the association board for approving the installation of flooring, and it just got to be a big mess. Okay, so moving on. The next thing is electrical plumbing. You don't want to start doing electrical modifications or plumbing without board approval, especially if you're planning on uh, moving or relocating electrical outlets or moving your sink to another location. That means moving some plumbing piping, right? Two types of plumbing piping you need to be aware of, or three, right? So when you relocate, let's say your kitchen sink, you're involving your supply piping, your drain piping, and your vent piping. Okay, so it's not like you're gonna go and remodel your kitchen and bath and just use the same piping. If you are, okay, well, you still need to get approval. The other major issue is you don't want to damage the common areas. Okay, so let's say you want to install a split system air conditioner. Where are you going to put the outdoor unit? You have a lanai, right? So you're gonna put your outdoor unit on the lanai. How are you going to secure it? I've inspected where there's leaks, and when I went to inspect the unit above, they had your condenser unit, and they have these little brackets, and they drilled right in into the concrete slab, and when it rained, water actually entered the drill area and started dripping on the ceiling of the unit below. Okay, so that's a no-no. And the lanai is a common area, although legally it's considered a limited common area because that unit owner who owns the unit where the lanai is attached to, he's the only person that can use that area, although he doesn't necessarily own it, right? It's part of the building. The other major point is to hire an architect. Now, sometimes you don't need to, but other times you probably should. Like if you're remodeling your kitchen or bathroom, or you have to maybe relocate a wall, knock down a wall. How do you know if it's load bearing or not? Either hire an architect or engineer. The other reason to do that is you're gonna have to hire an architect or engineer anyway if you have to get a building permit, right? Now, there's situations where you don't need a permit, like if you're just painting the unit or installing flooring or replacing your cabinets and countertops. But other than that, you need to hire a design professional. It's good practice. The other thing is get a building permit. If a building permit is required, then you should get one. Otherwise, you're going to be in violation, right? Now, plenty condo owners think that once they get the association to approve, you know, then that's their permit. But there's actually two types of approval needed. One is your condo association has to approve whatever work you're doing. And number two, the city and county of Honolulu needs to approve, and that's the building permit issue. So just because you got the condo association to approve, that doesn't mean the city approved it. In a lot of cases, condo unit owners never got a permit, and it becomes a problem. When? Well, when someone complains or if they're selling the unit. So let's say uh, a bathroom was remodeled. The unit owner never got a permit, then he decides to sell the unit. The buyer and the buyer's real estate agent asks the question, uh, did you get a permit for it? If so, can you give us a copy? And the unit owner says, no, I didn't get a permit because, my contractor said I didn't need one. Now, that becomes a problem because a permit was required to remodel the bathroom. So now what happens? They're going to have to get a after the fact permit, or the buyer is just going to buy knowing that there's no permit. Okay, so it could get kind of sticky. So make sure you do things the right way. If you're in doubt, you can go online and ask the building department if you need a permit, or read their brochure, or contact a consultant. A lot of times your contractor will say you don't need one, but they're giving erroneous information because they want to do the work, right? So if you're a contractor and you have to wait a year to get a permit, that means you're not getting paid for the job, right? So you just want to do it. So that's the reason why a lot of contractors say, well, you don't need a permit. You're only gonna remodel. I'm actually a construction consultant that reviews design applications for a bunch of condo properties, and it's pretty funny what the unit owners tell me that their contractor told them. One is, well, you're only replacing like for like, so you don't need a permit, right? So in other words, you're only taking your your old bathtub out and putting in a new bathtub, so you don't need a permit. Or we're only doing maintenance work, so you don't need a permit. Or you don't need a permit because we're not doing any electrical or plumbing work. And I'm like, okay, so can you tell me how the contractor is going to remodel your bathroom and your kitchen without touching any plumbing fixtures? Right? According to the plan that you submitted, you're going to gut the whole kitchen, remove the kitchen sink, right? The disposal, install a new dishwasher. So how is it going to remove the kitchen sink without touching any plumbing? Oh, yeah. Well, he's going to have to. Yeah, I guess you're right. Well, look at it this way. He's going to have to disconnect. He's going to have to touch the plumbing. He's going to have to disconnect the drain line, disconnect your supply piping, right? Disconnect everything connected to plumbing. Remove your kitchen sink and your cabinets and install a new one, then reconnect the piping. Is he going to change any P-traps? Is he going to change any plumbing? Oh no, he's not gonna change any of that. Okay, so what doesn't the work still involve touching plumbing? And what about the outlets? You said that he's gonna change the outlets to the new convenience outlets now, and then you don't have enough, so he's going to install two more outlets, by your counter, because that's not original. So how can you say that they're not doing any electrical work? Oh, well, the contractor said they're doing minor electrical. Okay, so let me fill you in on this. There's no such thing as minor or major electrical as far as getting a permit. Okay, the building permit requirements say any electrical work you still need to get a permit and a licensed electrician, as long as it's meets the threshold. So that's the difference. Okay. Now, in reality, there is minor and major electrical work, but for the purposes of permit, it doesn't matter. There's no such thing as minor electrical work when you're applying for a permit. You have to list down what you're doing, changing outlets, changing light switches, taking off a chandelier and reinstalling it. Well, doesn't it involve hooking up wiring? If it does, then that's the electrician. And the contractor may say, well, I know how to do it. Okay, well, that's fine if you know how to do it, but do you have a license to do that? Do you have a separate electrical license? I know you're a general contractor, but under your general contractor's license, there's no um, allowance for you to do plumbing or electrical work. How do I know? Because it's been like that for years, right? You can do drywall work, you can do carpentry work, right? Okay, so enough about permits. Finding a good contractor. Now, I wrote a book on working with a contractor where if you go to our website, you can download it for free, and it has a lot of specific information. But for now, when you're doing condo remodeling, you want to find a licensed contractor, right? You don't want to hire a handyman who's not licensed and maybe doesn't have the proper insurance. When it comes to insurance, I'll talk about that in a little while. So, finding a good contractor, you want to ask for credentials and licensing, right? And verify the license, verify the credentials, ask for references, and call the people up or email them. Hey, I'm looking at possibly hiring this contractor. He listed you down as a reference. What can you tell me about the guy? Did you have a good experience? Did he finish the job on time? Was there any change orders? Was there any construction issues that you had? Did he finish the work? Did he come back and fix things that weren't right? Things like that. Okay, so verify the license. Now, some general contractors have specialty licenses too. So you want to make sure if your general contractor is going to do the flooring, right? Make sure he has a separate flooring license. If not, he should sub it out, right? It doesn't matter if he knows how to do the work or not. Experience and portfolio. Make sure you verify contractor terms and agreements. One of the key elements is how much is the job going to cost? What exactly are you going to do? What materials are you going to be supplying? What is the warranty on the materials? What is your labor warranty? How long are you going to take to do the job? What is the whole schedule from beginning to end? And how am I going to pay you, right? Am I going to pay you every month? I'm going to pay you half now and half at the end? What is the deal here? Permit and code compliance, insurance and liability. Make sure that your contractor has both workman's comp and general liability. A lot of one-man operation, they only have general liability, they don't have workman's comp. And you want workman's comp because if they get hurt on the job, you're the one that's going to be their insurance carrier. Okay, so be strict about that and make sure that don't just say, accept, oh yeah, I have insurance. Make sure that you get a copy of their certificate of insurance. It's called a COI, which stands for Certificate of Insurance, and read it and see what the coverage is. And also look at the dates of expiration. I've seen many where they submit it and they submit their insurance and the date is like the insurance expires before they even start the job. Okay, so you want a renewal. And then project management. If the job is big, you want to make sure that you hire your own project manager. Okay, so that's going to be very helpful. Now, there was a question that came up, and let me stop right here to answer the question. It came in on the chat. If I'm hiring a general contractor, how do I know if he's hiring licensed subs? Is the homeowner responsibility to make sure the GC is hiring licensed subs? Very good question. Okay, so the answer is, in the beginning, when you're talking about your contract terms, right, you make sure that your general contractor states who's going to do the work by providing a list. Is a general contractor going to do everything? I don't think so, right? So, in other words, you look around at what the scope of work is. If it involves electrical, plumbing, painting, flooring, he needs to list down. If he's not going to do the work himself, he needs to list down all his subcontractors. So you're going to have general contractor XYZ. Then you're going to have electrical contractor ABC, plumbing contractor CDE. Okay, so, and they got to list the name and they got to list the license number. And you want to get certificates of insurance for all your subcontractors. Okay, so I'll give you an example. I was working on this expensive condo, which was about $1 million renovation work. And they used like 20 subcontractors. I asked for certificates for each one of the contractors, and the general contractor said, "Oh, we don't normally ask that." And I said, "Well, you should, because what if one of your subs isn't properly insured, and something happens on the job? There's a claim. Guess what, pal? They're going to go after your insurance." Okay, so you want to be protected. So not only is protection for the general contractor, it's also protection from the condo unit owner, and also it's a protection for the condo association. So that's why the condo associations require you to provide your contractor's insurance, because they don't want to be left holding the bag when there's a claim. Okay, so that's a good question. And ask before the job starts. You want to verify all the subs, because sometimes the general contractor doesn't even know that one of his subs is not licensed, or his license expired, or he doesn't have the proper insurance. Okay, so look at the scope of work and see what's involved. Believe it or not, okay? Believe it or not, you're doing a renovation work. So let's say, look at this picture here on the screen, okay, if you can see it. This was a remodeled condo, and they painted, the ceiling and walls, right? They redid the flooring. It has a brand new kitchen. Okay, so what does that tell you? What work was involved? Okay, general construction. They put in new cabinets and countertops. Okay, I mean they didn't go for expensive looking. It's like kind of a low end kind of deal because they wanted to spend money on the flooring. Okay, so this involved painting, a little bit drywall repair, electrical plumbing because they did kitchen um, remodel that involve electrical plumbing and flooring. Okay, so your general contractor could install the cabinets and countertops without using a sub. They needed to use a sub contractor for plumbing and electrical, and they did their own flooring. Okay, is the general contractor allowed to do flooring? Well, that's debatable because there's a separate contractor license for flooring. Okay, so you may want to, do more research on that. So, um, yeah, that's just to give you an idea. Okay, moving along. Bath kitchen remodels, like I mentioned. For bathroom, you want to have a good designer plan. If you're just changing everything and upgrading it without really changing any of the location of any fixtures or anything, okay, then it's a lot easier. So it involves plumbing, electrical, plumbing fixture selection. You want to take out all your old fixtures and replace it with new fixtures, tile and flooring. So it involves floor tile and tile on the walls, which would require a separate contractor's license to do ceramic tile, right? Lighting and ventilation, storage solutions. Well, that's really not a big deal because normally you would just replace your existing cabinets and replace them. Okay, kitchen layout workflow. If you're redesigning things, some people like an island, but if you're in a condo, was it designed with an island initially? If not, and you have plumbing and electrical, how are you going to get your plumbing lines and electrical lines from your wall to the island? So the the layout and design is critical. Cabinetry, countertops, your general contractor can do. Appliance upgrades, your general contractor can do, and make sure they measure correctly uh, to the appliances that you're putting in. I've seen cases where they installed beautiful cabinets and countertops, and when it comes time to put the dishwasher, guess what? It doesn't fit because the space wasn't big enough. Now what do you do? Okay, lighting and exit lighting and things like that. So if you look at the picture, you look at the ceiling, you see the wires hanging down. So you can't tell me that the general contractor is gonna do all the electrical himself because he's not an electrician, right? So it involves electrical work. Okay. Some more kitchen remodel, backsplash wall finishes, which it's part of your cabinet countertop, flooring and material selection. Now, because it's a kitchen and bath area, you don't want to put flooring that is not made for wet areas. In other words, if the flooring gets wet, what happens? It starts swelling and all that. That's why it's not ideal to put, wood flooring or particle type flooring in a kitchen or bathroom, right? So be sure that your material selection is compatible with the use of the area. And now they got these laminate, luxury laminate tile, vinyl tile, and it's basically water resistant. Okay? Make sure you plan for storage and where your appliances are, and follow the safety and building codes in remodeling. Now, I can tell you for a fact that I've seen remodeled kitchen and baths that were uh, remodeled by a handyman and they didn't follow the code. So, in other words, the electrical was wrong and the plumbing was wrong. And how do we know that? Well, I was a construction manager of a total repiping project on many high-rise buildings where we had to cut open walls to replace their drain piping. And that's when we saw illegal electrical and plumbing. And guess what? The owner had to pay to have it redone. And I asked them the question, who did you hire? Were they licensed? Apparently they weren't licensed to do electrical work or plumbing work. So, that's a big issue. And the unit owner says, well, the bid was $8,000 cheaper than other general contractors, so I went with it. I said, well, now this is what happened. You're paying for it. So let's talk about flooring. I mentioned material selection. Make sure that you know what the insulation method is, subfloor preparation. There's also a transition and trim. Are you going to have baseboards? What kind of baseboards are you having? Uh, Make sure underlayment. And the big issue is make sure you comply with the condo board's sound transmission requirements. Let's talk about air conditioning. Your unit doesn't have an air conditioning system and you want to install. You want to put in either a window wall unit or a split system. Okay, how does the split system work? How does it get installed? Well, you have two units. You have an indoor unit, which is called a fan coil unit, and you have an outdoor unit, which is a compressor. Now, why is it called an outdoor unit? It's because it has to be installed outside the building, right? So if you have a lanai, normally it's installed on your lanai slab, right? Or somewhere on the outside. So make sure you verify the system, the installation location, sizing and load calculation. And if it's a split system, there's no duct work. If it's a central air, then you have ducts. So make sure you get board approval for installation because older buildings, um, they might not allow you to install a split system because the building initially wasn't designed to handle any additional load for electrical. Now, I've seen situations where uh, I get a call saying, "Oh, we just installed a split system AC, and when we run our disposal, the lights start dimming." And I'm like, "Okay, well, that's not a good sign." And then I go to check it out, and come to find out, your main for all the units was only a 50 amp main, and they did not have any provision for installing a air conditioner. So what happened was they used one of the circuits and hooked up their split system to it and overloaded the the main. Okay, so make sure that everything is calculated, and if you don't know, ask the contractor. And if the contractor doesn't know, then you need to hire a electrical engineer to help you. You don't want your whole building catching on fire, burning down because you failed to follow the guidelines. Okay, so anything electrical could cause not only a shock hazard, a fire hazard. Speaking of electrical, you're going to replace your outlets. You're going to add in more outlets. You may need to upgrade your circuit breaker. installing additional lighting, ground fault circuit interrupters, which is a safety type outlet in your bathroom and kitchen. It has those test buttons, test and reset. Very important. Um, Also on older buildings, when you have circuit breaker panels that are a certain brand like FPE, Federal Pacific Electric, or Zinsco, those have been known to fail, and you need to replace your whole circuit breaker box with all your breakers. Okay. Plumbing, fixture selection, piping inspection, drainage and ventilation. Uh, you might want to consider replacing your water heater, and then be aware of your permit requirements and have an inspection done. It doesn't make sense to, if your condo unit has its own water heater, you're going to remodel your kitchen and bathroom and you don't put in a new water heater and it's original, I would recommend replacing your water heater because it could leak or go out at any time. And now you have no hot water, or what's worse is you don't know it's leaking until the unit below you knocks on your door and said, "Hey, I got water dripping from my ceiling. You know, what's going on?" And when you go to your water heater, you look and it's a whole leak, right? Because the pipe was corroded. How about that four-letter word, mold? Okay, so when you're remodeling and your contractor finds mold in the wall because they're remodeling your bathroom or kitchen, you want to make sure that the the mold is tested. Or if it's not tested, just cut it out and remove it and replace the drywall. Okay. Um, don't just take the word for it from the contractor that says, it doesn't look that bad. It was only a small area, or we cleaned it with Clorox, we sprayed it, so you're good to go, right? If it's bad, you don't know what kind of mold it is. It could be toxic mold, so better to have it tested, right? Or just have the wall removed, right? There's cases where they actually cleaned the wall, sprayed it, and then when the drywall got wet, the mold grew again. Okay, so just be aware. And that basically wraps it up. The conclusion that I have is if you live in a condo, make sure that you follow the guidelines of the condo association. Okay. And if they don't have any guidelines, and believe it or not, some don't, or it's like a one-page guideline. Well, here's your guideline for remodeling your kitchen and bathroom. Just make sure you hire a licensed contractor, and make sure that the contractor doesn't work late at night or over the weekend. That's the guideline. And I'm thinking, man, these guys are living in the dinosaur days, right? They really got to upgrade their uh, requirements, right? It should be strict. And there's nothing about getting a building permit or hiring licensed contractors or any kind of review. So there's still condos out there that operate like that. And so I encourage all condo associations to upgrade their design guidelines and make it stricter so that you don't have anything goes, because then you have a problem, right? People are changing their windows, upgrading their uh, bathroom and kitchen, knocking walls down, adding walls, and no one knows about it until the unit's sold or someone does an inspection, and then you find out about it. And what are you going to do, right? Sometimes you have the association sends a violation notice, and the unit owner says, "Hey, I bought my unit 10 years ago, and when I bought it, it was like that already. You guys didn't say anything." Right? So is it the responsibility of the board to give a violation notice if they didn't even know about it? Or is it the responsibility of the unit owner? If you read the condo documents, right, and you look at the condo law, HRS 514B, it's specific that says you cannot do remo any renovation work modifications without getting board approval. That's number one. And then if you read your condo governing documents, your declaration, there's a clause in there that's basically says the same thing. You're going to need board approval. So did all these owners get board approval? No, if they can't prove that they did get approval, then they did not get approval. So I get that all the time from some of the buildings that, oh yeah, we got approval. I said, okay, that's fine. Can you send me a copy of your approval letter? And they go, we can't find it. I said, okay, if you can't find it, then there's no evidence of approval. Fill out a new application. And then they get all bent out of shape. And I said, I didn't make any of the rules. I'm just following the rules that are set forth by the board. So that's basically it. What you miss, we've given many webinars in the past about all kind of different subjects, construction and building, roofing, hurricane ties, siding, painting, concrete repair, you name it. We've probably given a webinar, and it's on our website that you can watch on demand. What's coming up? We got a whole bunch of topics covering construction, building, and maybe some real estate stuff too. So go to our website and check it out. Here's our website, askbuildingexpert.now.site. We got a whole bunch of webinars on demand. We have takeaways such as PowerPoints, and there's a publication page where you can download free books. I think I wrote about 10 books now, and I have a whole bunch in the queue waiting to be published. And it's all free. You can go and download the PDF. And let's see what topics I have. How safe is your building? Concrete spalling repair, cast iron drain piping, hazardous building materials. I think I have one about railing, or maybe it's not published yet. I don't know. Go to our website and go check it out. So you got any questions? We got answers. Here's my phone number and my email address, lanceluke@hawaiibuildingexpert.com. Our phone number is 808-422-2132. So people from parts of the United States, you can email, or if you're tuning in from anywhere in the world, feel free to email or give me a call, and we try to answer all our emails. If you're on any one of our social media platforms and you want to make a post, ask a question, make a comment, we answer and read all of them, whether you're on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. Okay, so here's our website again, askbuildingexpert.now.site. Almost every day we're adding things to our website. We even have a blog, so you can go to our blog and take a look at articles and all that. So there's a load of information. You could probably spend months and months watching our webinars, reading our blog posts, and all those kind of things. But pick and choose which one you're interested in and watch those first. And get our free book. It's called Working with a Contractor, and specifically has tips to help you save money or not get into trouble. So I'd like to reach out to Martin now, see if we have any questions that came up. I'm going to stop my screen share here.
Okay, I'm here.
Okay, so good. I see you. I even see.
Good.
Is that one of your condo rentals that there's an image behind you?
Oh, yeah. No, that's not mine. I think that's one of the many that you've inspected and checked out.
Yeah, that's a bird's eye view of a condo. So
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
hopefully I covered a lot of information, and I appreciate the question that came up on the chat. That was very good. So I'm open now to answering whatever questions came up, either on our Zoom platform or on our social media different accounts. So
Yeah, well, I don't
I'm
see any more on the Zoom side. So the observer, the visitors can still submit some for you to answer. But we had a few that came in, and let me just quickly get to them because I know your time is limited. What are some common challenges condo owners face when trying to obtain renovation permits? And how can we navigate these hurdles effectively?
well, for one, as you know, if you're following or you live in Hawaii, our permit process is very lengthy. There have been cases of people waiting 2 years to get their building permit. And that's probably one of the reasons why people don't even want to get permits, because it takes too long. And the contractors know this. The contractors, and that's why some of them tell their clients, you don't need a permit, right? But is that the correct information? Probably not. So um, the permit issue, it takes a long time, so make sure that you apply as soon as you can. And the other thing is, what was the other question?
Or they just wanted to see how to navigate the hurdles. What secrets do you have to get the permit? Are there any?
Well, it used to be you kind of pay extra money, or you take Manapua or candy, or take them golf or whatever. But now, that's not allowed. It's considered like a bribe. So it's very hard right now. And what I'm doing is, on my major projects, I actually uh, recommend to the client to hire a third-party review person and also a permit router. So in addition to hiring a contractor, we're paying thousands of dollars to have a person follow the plans and route it. And recently, the building department changed the process, and everything is online now, which makes it easier to find out what's going on, but now harder. Uh, it's supposed to be easier to get the permit faster. And the mayor actually, in his State of the City address, said he's gonna, revamp the program, so the permits are gonna be shorter now. But I've yet to see uh, shorter time in getting permits. Um, I work on big projects, so I'll give you an example. If a $3 million piping project, we applied for the permit. We started the project in September of last year. We finished the project at the end of April, and we still don't have our building permit. So that's one example. Another example is a spalling project in for an apartment building by Ala Moana Shopping Center. We applied for the permit. We started the project. It was all finished. Then I called the building inspector. Oh, I need you to meet me at the property so we can close out the permit. So he shows up and he says, I looked around and I don't see no spalling. And I said, we finished it already. I just need you to sign off that we're done. And he goes, you guys weren't supposed to start uh, doing any work until you got the permit issued. I said, yeah, but we actually wrote that it was an emergency and we started the work. And he said, oh, okay, well, was it really an emergency? And I showed him some pictures and I said, yeah, look at this. We got railings ready to fall off, and um, major spalling work on our walkway. He goes, oh, okay, fine. So um, the permit issue is not an easy one. and it takes a while. But if you don't get one, what happens is you're gonna get stuck later. So there's ways, if your contractor knows how to work with the city and get a permit faster, then you might consider using that contractor, even if he's a little bit more expensive. Okay. Um, a handyman cannot get a permit for you because there's what's called a contractor statement, and the contractor has to list down his name, company name, license number, and the building department has a link on their computer to the state records, and they can check. And if your handyman puts his name down, they check and they go, hey, the guy doesn't have a license, we can't give you a permit. So the permit is only issued to the unit owner with the general contractor that's verified license. Okay, so that's where they catch you. And that's why the handyman companies are telling unit owners you don't need to get a permit, because they want the job and they don't want to be liable, right? So anyway, that was a long drawn out answer, but I hopefully covered the question.
Okay. Well, we have a couple other quick ones. Hopefully you can answer. The next one says, my PV, that's a photovoltaic application, got put on hold because the condo property manager said that there may be an issue with batteries used for storage. Do you know what the situation is with the batteries?
Yeah, there's lithium ion batteries that have a tendency to catch on fire, and that's why there's a hesitancy of condo boards to approve. And um, there's a new type now that aren't uh, conducive to starting fires. So that's the trend now. So just be aware of that. Maybe ask your contractor to use that type of batteries instead, and then show them the test results, and then hopefully you can get it approved.
Hmm. Oh, good answer. Thank you. And I guess we get one more here. It says, I live in a townhouse and want to install a central air conditioning system. My application was rejected. Can you help me get it approved? It's a
Um,
personal request.
yeah, okay. So the answer to the question is, if your condo doesn't allow central air, then no one can help you get it approved. Okay. If it does, then ask, well, what can you do to get it approved, right? Did you hire an architect? Did you hire a contractor and submit plans? Maybe they didn't give you approval because you're not getting a permit for it. I don't know. So contact me directly, because maybe there's some things that um, I can give you advice on, or maybe it's impossible. Like, I know there's condos, like a townhouse project that I work with, they don't allow central air. So if you're planning on installing one, you're not going to get it approved. So just be aware of that. So we got any other comments, questions?
No, my only comment is, as wrapping it up, is good information today. I think I know our guide here was on condo remodeling, but I think the information you provided is also valuable for any kind of remodeling or renovation project. The
Oh
must
yeah,
do.
I mean, if people live in a single family home, some of the information is still applicable. Get my free book at our website. You'd be happy. Um, I mean, if you don't want to get it free, you can go to Amazon and pay $14.95 plus shipping. I mean, that's fine too. But I know our time's up, and appreciate you guys attending or watching live, or even watching a replay. And stay tuned. We got another webinar coming up next month. I forget what the title is, but thanks for joining us, and then we'll see you next time. Aloha, mahalo.
Aloha.